Here's the next question from Sadie, and this is the most voted for question tonight. So Max, Sadie's question is, how can we be safe, healthy, without being overcome by fear?
Such an important question, Sadie. Thank you for that, and thank you for those that voted it up too. I'll give you the political advisor and the lawyer's answer. It depends. And then I'll give you a proper, more substantive answer. It's really a question of balance, I think, and of being realistic about who we are, realistic about the world in which we live, and realistic about the difference between our responsibility and our brokenness and the brokenness in the world. So I think it really just comes back to, in the most mature way possible, understanding the reality of what's out there, the fact that it is uncertain, that it is unstable. So fear in that sense doesn't have to be a posture of trepidation, right? So it doesn't have to be fear with a capital F, but we need to be situationally aware, to use another management piece of jargon. Situational awareness drives us to be prepared and ready, whereas fear just kind of drives us to retreat. So there's no need to fear. And that's why I think a relationship with God through the person of Jesus Christ is such a life-changing thing. And it's such a qualitatively unique offering that no other worldview actually gives you, because it takes away, that need to fear. It actually gives you a good logical and experiential reason in our heads and in our hearts why we don't need to fear. Because otherwise, the command not to fear or just don't be scared, it actually doesn't make sense if you take it to its logical conclusion, unless you have an object of ultimate dependence, like the person of Jesus, that's anchored to something outside of the storm, which is God himself. Unless you have that, saying don't fear doesn't actually make any sense. So first of all, we don't want to fear, we want to be situationally aware, but there is a connector. That logical connector needs to take a theological form. And Jesus has given us that, the message of Jesus that we Christians called the gospel. That word gospel just means good news, right? So sorry if you've got Christians in your life that just keep saying gospel and don't explain what it is. We're just really excited because it's good news. The good news is that we don't need to fear, but we still have personal responsibility. In the Bible, it's clear again and again and again that there are two overarching realities. One is that God is sovereign. He's all powerful. He's in control. It's his sea. He knows about the storm. But we also do have personal responsibility. We have moral agency. We have capacity. As Daniel so perfectly put it earlier, we have great opportunities to be able to read and to learn and instruct ourselves and build ourselves up, knowing that we are not ultimately in control, but to do what we can. There's a point, I think, in one of the Chronicles of Narnia, I think it might be Prince Caspian, where, same old storyline from, most children's books. The bad guys are coming. The White Witch and her army are advancing. And the children are really scared. They're really scared. And Aslan, who's, the great lion, the Christ figure, if you like, of this story, he's nowhere to be seen. He just routinely will kind of pop in and out of the story whenever he feels like it. And Lucy, who's the youngest daughter, she is freaked out. And she's the first one to meet Aslan, and she just continues to scream for Aslan. She said, we just need Aslan. We just need Aslan. She's crying out for Aslan. She's just calling on Aslan because she knows that once Aslan arrives, everything will be okay. Lucy's right. We should be crying out and calling out to God. We should be crying out to something beyond where we are, because the reality of the situation needs a transcendent actor. It needs transcendent intervention, and God offers us that. And so Lucy is correct to call out for Aslan. But then her brother Peter says something really powerful that I think sums up the answer to this question. Peter says, Lucy, Aslan will get here when he gets here. In the meantime, he would expect us to do what we can with what we've got. He'll get here when he gets here, but in the meantime, he would expect us to do what we can with what we've got. God is all sovereign. Jesus is reaching out to every single one of us. And when he's in our lives, we can rest assured that he will intervene in the brokenness of the world as and when he deems appropriate. But in the meantime, with him in our lives and in our hearts, we are empowered not to fear and to do what we are called to do with what we've got. And so the way we prepare for this, the way we strengthen our businesses, the way we invest in relationships, the way that we pour out love on people around us who are suffering and are struggling, relationally, financially, however it might be, the way we skill up and reskill ourselves and read the markets and read the economy, the way we plan for university, the way we adjust to learning online and working online, all of that is our responsibility. God doesn't leave us to do it alone. He's still with us. But the brokenness of the world out there, we can know that he has got that. He's a God of redemption. He's a God who is sovereign. He's a God who is all powerful. He will take care of that. It's his sea. And even though our boats are so small, we can rest assured that we've got him in our boat with us. And none of that, none of what I've just said needs to be manifested propositionally alone. It's all manifested relationally. It's all through an up-close and personal relationship with God. This is not an algorithm. These are not theories. These are not systems of living that might help you get through the pandemic. This happens through an up-close and personal relationship with God himself. Thanks so much for the question.
Max, thank you so much for your answer.